Good day, folks. Welcome to Angel's Life. I hope everyone's doing great today. So, I have a disturbing story, which unfortunately is becoming a trend in this country. Now, for those of us that are homeowners, most of us would assume, or we would at least like to assume, that our local government is doing what they're supposed to do with our tax dollars. They're protecting our property. They're making sure that things like what you're getting ready to hear on this story don't happen to us. And what's going on is you have a couple in Hillsborough County, Florida, that has stolen 3 properties. How does a couple steal 3 properties? Some of you probably already know the answer. You already know what I'm alluding to, but for those of you that don't, I'm going to go ahead and play the story, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to have a discussion.
Scam you, and Rebecca, you have a story about a scheme that literally hits close to home for a lot of people.
Yeah, Whit, this is a warning about criminals stealing your most prized possession, your home, and you're about to see surveillance footage that authorities say shows the scam in action. This may look like a normal day at a county clerk's office, but look closely at this couple in the waiting room. Prosecutors say Michelle Cherry and her husband Victor Rodriguez were there to steal a home from unsuspecting owners.
To have someone steal your property it's like stealing the American dream. It's terrible. We've seen a big increase in that sort of activity.
According to Florida prosecutor Mike Lennon, Cherry made 3 trips to the clerk's office, stealing not 1, but 3 different Tampa area properties with fraudulent documents using quitclaim deeds, a type of deed that can quickly transfer ownership of property.
They looked for properties that they believed were abandoned, and then they used online information to forge signatures on these deeds to file them with the clerk of court.
Prosecutors say one of those properties belonged to Larry and Dreama Bilby.
Just like that, your house is stolen. Yeah. It's gone.
It only cost 70 cents and some paperwork.
The Bilbys tell us they weren't living in their home at the time because of construction, but they were monitoring their home's security cameras, which they say showed the suspects on their property multiple times.
They took our power bill and our water bill. They cut off our name and put their names on it.
The Bilbys credit their county clerk's office with alerting them of the change in the home's title.
Anytime anything is filed against your property, you get an alert, whether it's a phone call, a text, or an email. It is a free service.
Even while Tampa police were investigating, the suspect seen here in this body cam video adamant the Bilby's home belongs to her.
I own it. I'm on the current deed.
They were stealing these properties with the intent to try to get loans out on the properties or to try to sell them to unsuspecting buyers.
Both suspects arrested.
You have a warrant?
Yeah.
And charged with conspiracy to commit fraud. They've pleaded not guilty and are awaiting trial. A lawyer for Cherry did not comment to ABC, but Rodriguez's attorney says his client maintains his innocence. Some officials are now calling for state laws to be changed, making it tougher to sell properties using quitclaim deed forms.
The fact that the form is so simple and requires so little documentation is problematic.
If you don't sign up for property fraud alert, you're just asking for the possibility that the same thing that happened to us.
It seems so easy. Well, the suspects face up to 285 years in prison if convicted of these crimes. As for the Bilbys, they say they are still trying to get their name back on the title to their home, but it is taking a lot of lawyers, a lot of legal work. Wow. It's expensive to do that. Yeah.
Frustrating and scary.
Yeah.
So, Rebecca, what can homeowners do to make sure this doesn't happen to them?
So you saw this in the piece. Law enforcement tells us check with your local clerk's office. They oversee titles and deeds in the state of Florida. Every county is now offering the property fraud alert system. That's what lets homeowners know the moment the deed to their house has been changed, and other states are offering similar services.
I mean, just scary. Seems so easy to do.
Too easy.
And now they have to pay legal costs and all these things to change it back.
Yeah.
All right, Rebecca, thank you.
And basically, I'm just going to just run through and let's just go with the story. So this couple, as you heard, they made 3 different trips to the clerk's office using quitclaim deeds to prove that they purchased these properties. Now, for starters, I will admit, I have purchased properties before to where the seller gave me a quit claim deed. Like the house, like one of the houses I used to own in Anderson, I purchased that house. When I paid off that house, they gave me a quit claim deed. And then I took it to the records office in Madison County and they recorded it and I was good to go. Fortunately, in that case, everything was legitimate. There was no scams. It was good. Didn't have to go through nothing. But given the type of scams that are going on now with property theft, I would encourage anybody that purchased a piece of real estate, do not accept a quit claim deed. Go ahead, pay the extra money, use a title company, because a title company, when they do their search, they will be able to find out whether the property has a lien or not. They'll be able to find out whether the property even belongs to the person whom you're buying the property from. Like, there's a house here in Alabama I was getting ready to purchase, and I was considering using this house as a possible rental property. I was also considering moving into this particular house. But to make a long story short, I decided to hire a title company as opposed to going through a quit claim. As opposed to using a quit claim deed. And I'm glad I decided to use a title company. Because a title company, they did their due diligence. They did their due diligence on my behalf, and it was found out that the seller of the property didn't have rights to sell a property. So to make a long story short, I ended up backing out of that agreement, and I did not buy that property. And I'm glad it worked out like that, because if I would have bought that property, I would have never been able to afford the house I'm living in right now, which is a far better house than the other one was. So anymore, if you're going to buy a piece of real estate, I would encourage you to use a title company and not accept a quit claim. A quit claim is a lot cheaper, but to me, it's worth it to pay that extra $1,000 or two and go through a title company. So these people took 3 trips to the clerk's county office with a quit claim deed. Now, some of you, like myself, we're asking certain questions in our mind. We're like, okay, well, 3 trips to the office. How did the workers not catch that these people were committing fraud? How did the workers let that go by? No red flags went off in anybody's mind. Okay, well, something about this paperwork ain't right. 3 times. 3 times. It just goes to show you that even though we are forced as homeowners to pay taxes to hire these workers to do their job, a lot of times, a lot of these workers are negligent in doing their job. And at the end of the day, they still get to keep their job, which is frustrating as hell if you're a homeowner. And a lot of times, by the time it's found out that your house has been stolen, now you have to hire a lawyer like the couple in this story had to. You got to hire a lawyer. You got to pay thousands of dollars. You'll probably at some point have to miss time off of work because now you got to go to court to fight for your property back. It's just a mess. And there's really no excuse for it. Because my attitude is these county workers, they should have been more on game. They should have been on top of stuff. 3 times in a row, the same people. I don't know. I'm speechless. And these 3 properties apparently were all in the Tampa area. Now, fortunately, the owners had surveillance cameras. And by the way, if for any reason you have to leave your property vacant for whatever reason. I don't care if it's just a week. I don't care if it's a month. Anymore, I wouldn't even care if it was only a few days. If feasible, try to get one or two of your neighbors to watch your house. Give your neighbors your phone number. That way, if they see anybody at the house, they can maybe confront the person, or they can at least pick up the phone and call the local police department and let them know what's going on. And of course, they can call you and let you know what's going on. And then you can do what you gotta do in order to, I guess, prevent your property from being stolen, possibly. Now the way that one of the couples, well, one of the homeowners had surveillance cameras on their house, I mean, that was a very smart idea. For those of you that don't know, they do sell surveillance equipment. You can buy it. You can buy them at places like Best Buy, or you can buy it online. And they have an app to where you can put the app on your phone, and you can connect the cameras to your phone. And no matter where you're at, I mean, your house can be in, let's say, Florida, and you can be, let's say, in Canada. And you can still go on your phone, check your cameras, make sure everything is on the up and up. And the second that things are no longer on the up and up, you can call your local police department, sheriff department, whatever the case. Call your neighbors, have someone check in on your house, and then take it from there. Like, for me, I got cameras on both my houses. The house I'm living in right now has cameras. My other house also has cameras. And I also have neighbors that keep an eye on the house for me as well. Now, sometimes if you pay people a little bit of money to keep an eye on your house while you're gone, which I've done that before, like when I was in when I came here to Alabama, and I still have my house up in Indiana, I had a good friend. I paid them a little bit of money to look after the house, and I'm glad I did. So sometimes you might have to pay somebody to look after your house. Just tell them to walk around your yard, make sure there's no evidence of anybody entering in your house. Check the doors, make sure they're locked, make sure there's no signs of anybody, getting into your house. Just simple stuff like that. Another thing you're going to want to do if you got to leave your home vacant for any extended period of time is during the warmer months, keep your yard cut. Like, hire somebody to come and cut your grass at least twice a month. Yeah, at least twice a month. Yeah, every other week, twice a month. That way, your house looks decent. Your yard doesn't look, because sometimes, kind of like what you heard on this video, the couple that got caught stealing these properties, what they would do is, and this is what most people do when they're attempting to steal houses and commit title fraud. They might circle around a particular neighborhood. They'll look at the yards, and if they see a house to where the house gives off signs of abandonment, such as a unkept yard, maybe a bunch of debris in the driveway, maybe windows that are real dirty, just little stuff like that, then kind of like what you saw in this video, people will assume, okay, this house is vacant, it's abandoned. They're going to do what they do to commit property fraud. Next thing you know, they now have a title to a house that does not belong to them. And they now have been granted a loan against a house that does not belong to them. And now the poor homeowners of that property, now they have to spend money fighting the case. And a lot of times it could take anywhere from several months to over a year to fight the case and for them to get their properties back. And for the life of me, I don't understand how these lending institutions don't bother to do their due diligence to make sure that the house that is being used as collateral actually belongs to the applicant that's applying for these loans. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I guess it's one of those type of things I would never understand, because to me it makes zero sense. When you look at all that you have to go through to purchase a home, to get accepted for a mortgage, how is it then that these banks don't do the proper due diligence to make sure that the person that's applying for the loan and using this particular property as collateral, how is it that they don't do their due diligence to make sure that the person is the actual owner of the property that's being used for collateral? I don't get it. But anyways, so yeah, definitely have some type of surveillance equipment on your home. Keep your yard up. And if feasible, have a neighbor or two watch over your property, or have a close friend, pay them a little bit of money. Have them watch over your property. That way, it lessens the chances of people doing what happened to these people in the video. It lessens the chances of you being a victim of property fraud. Because it's going to be a lot cheaper to pay for surveillance equipment. It's going to be a lot cheaper to pay for people to watch over your house than it will be to have to pay lawyers to fight on your behalf to get your property back. And if you live in an area that offers some type of a property fraud alert program, I don't care if you got to pay for it. In my opinion, it would be worth the money to sign up for that program. Obviously, make sure the program is legit and it's not some type of a scam. Now, some counties, apparently, they offer that type of a program for free. So if they offer it for free, obviously sign up and, again, make sure it's not some type of a scam. And that way you can keep an eye on your property a little better. And this is something that I do as well. You know, on a regular basis, maybe every week, call your local clerk's office and check with the local clerk's office to make sure that no one has placed a lien on your property. In fact, I just did that the other day to both of my properties here in Alabama. I called the local clerk's office to make sure that no liens have been placed on my property. Now, when I made that call, I mean, here in Alabama, we don't really have that type of stuff going on too much. So the people were looking at me kind of, well, anyways, I'm going to skip all that. So yeah, just call your local clerk's office on a regular basis to make sure that everything is on the up and up and there's no type of liens put on your property that you didn't put on the property yourself. And that's all I got for this one. So until next time, stay blessed. And I'll catch you all in the next one.